Okay, we are live.
Doing it.
Right.
Great.
Anna, are you ready to get absolutely crazy?
I'm so ready.
Okay. On today's episode of Playing Small is Canceled, we have a very exclusive treat. She's a powerhouse entrepreneur, best-selling author, and transformational and acclaimed speaker who went from immigrant to industry icon, no big deal. She's the dynamic CEO of Crowe PR and Inc. 5000 Rocket Ship, where she helps global brands scale through bold storytelling and game-changing strategy. Big facts. She's been named CEO of the Year, Businesswoman of the Year, and Communications Leader, just to name a few. And she's the best-selling author of Get Real, co-author of Lead Like a Woman, and a soulful leader who's all about impact growth and Pinot Noir sunsets, which I absolutely love. She's just a juggernaut in all facets of life and a terrific human being. Please
Might as
welcome,
well throw that in.
please welcome the authentic, bold, innovative, and trailblazing Anna Crowe. How you doing, Anna?
Thank you so much, Craig, for that great info in overview, and excited to be speaking with you today.
I'm so pumped for the conversation. I've been looking forward to it. Love your energy, love your vibe, and you share a little bit of that East Coast swagger, though you're not there right now. So that I really appreciate.
Yeah, I do worry that by the end of this conversation, I'm going to get into full on East Coast mode, but we'll see how it goes.
Bring it on. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I'm so pumped for this. So many places we could take this. I want to just dive right in and make the most of every single second. One of the things that you're so big on and that you talk about often is innovation and impact. And I wanted to ask you, because we have a lot of entrepreneurs in our community, and we're going to repurpose the show to other platforms and so forth. What does it mean to lead with innovation and impact?
Yeah, I think innovation is such a beautiful word. And remember, there was a decade there where we really overused it as across different industries. We're being innovative, we're innovating. But I think overall, it's all about ideas and creativities and doing things that are entrepreneurial in a way that hasn't been done before, or maybe even just taking an idea and turning it upside down or shifting it 1 degree to see something different, and solving problems maybe before they even arise. So innovation is, I think, thinking boldly, thinking differently, breaking through different ceilings, and really looking at the sky being the limit. And then impact is doing it in a way that positively supports or impacts the brands, the companies, the people, humanity at its finest, and all those things. So putting those two together, I think, is a really great marriage and combination.
You speak my language. I love a lot of the words that you use often are words like bold, authentic, innovative, creative. Those are great words. I deeply resonate with them.
Agreed. I agree. Yes. I mean, if we have one life, or depending on what you believe, but if we do have this life in this particular body and mind, just go big or go home.
That's right. This human experience, maybe different conversation about souls and so forth, but you nailed it.
Yes.
And it's interesting, and totally off the cuff, but I was reading somewhere that people that think about the concept of death the most tend to be the most at peace. And one of the reasons why I can imagine it is kind of because of what you just said. Like, if we get one shot at this thing in this human experience, human form, then why not play bigger? Why not be bolder? Why not really go for it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think to your point, we can go neuroscience, we can go in all the different directions here, but I think it takes so long for many people to figure out what's really stopping them from that, whether it's fear or past experience or historical knowledge, right? And the sooner we can address that and overcome that, I think that's when people start playing big. And that happens for everybody in different points in their life. But yeah, why not? Right. And I think risk is a real thing, and I think that's just another thing that people have to get comfortable with and understand our relationship with risk, understand our own personal relationship with fear, and all the different emotions that may prevent us from going to that next level.
It's so interesting. It is the kind of like a big appetizer for the world we're about to really dive into, but I love the conversation. So you mentioned our relationship with risk. Isn't it so interesting? Like, what is the meaning we give risk? While some people might have fear behind the idea of taking a big, bold risk and stepping into something new or something that they're more passionate about, could also argue that the biggest risk is to stay small and stay safe and be misaligned to what you're doing.
100%. And that's actually, you mentioned the first book I wrote, Get Real, was about finding our authentic journey and our path, and also creating authentic connections and building authentic brands. I'm in public relations. I love that storytelling element. And then I'm working on another project now that really is taking that knowledge and personal experience and experience of a lot of great people that I get to connect with and speak with. And how do we really understand our truest, most authentic form and make those shifts to get to that journey, right? And we do this in our lives as well as with brands and marketing and companies and organizations, and staying and finding the right path for you to make the biggest impact and to innovate ourselves and our businesses in the best way.
I love your style. I love your vibe. In case you couldn't tell enough, I really resonate with you. And one of the big things that you speak about often is this idea of the energy behind your brand. And I think of the word consciousness. And I wanted to ask you, how important is it for you, especially in the people that you help and support, to take time to really be conscious of your brand and the energy behind it?
Yeah. Energy is such a beautiful thing. And similarly, that's one of my favorite words, because we know, I'm not a scientist, but we all know that the world, everything lives off energy, right? Our planet lives off energy, nature, our businesses, our relationships, right? How often do you feel the energy of the room when someone walks in or walks out? How often do you feel the energy of, in marketing, the energy of the brand, the energy of words, right? We know words carry energy. So to your point, I think it all works together, like words, consciousness, energy, like being really intentional and really hearing, I think, is really critical. And especially as you're building companies or brands, what is the energy that you want to put forth? How do you want to impact another life with your energy, or the energy of the product or the brand that you've created? So I think it permeates through everything, scientifically and just when we're thinking about it as marketers or entrepreneurs.
Yeah, it's so funny you mentioned scientifically, because this isn't really philosophy, it's science. If you just look at quantum physics, right? Everything vibrates and so forth. And so, and again, the word that you use there is just to just be intentional. And I heard a quote a long time ago. I'm not sure who said it, so I can't take credit, but it was something along the lines of, your energy introduces you before you even speak. And if you think about that, like your analogy, when someone just walks into the room, right, you can feel either empowering or maybe disempowering, or an inviting or maybe a cold energy. And that's before you even open up your mouth, right?
100%. I saw this at a talk the other day too. People meet your energy before they meet you. Right. And I think that goes for everything, for us as humans, as business owners, as for businesses that we run and or support and help grow. That's the same thing. And I think when we talk about making shifts, right, and understanding who you are or what your brand really is, it's that energy that really propels you from one point to the next. And sometimes you have to have a burst of energy. But similarly, what is energy? I've been really conscious of, over the last probably 4 or 5 years, more so than in the past, of what really charges up my energy and what really drains it. And the more we get to do the stuff that charges us up, the more impact we're making. And the less we do of stuff that drain us, the less tired we are, and we can do more with less.
Isn't it so
I think this is my personal philosophy.
Yeah, totally. But isn't it so interesting that, like, what you're saying is true, but it's such a hard concept for people to grasp. And I'll even admit, for me, like, when you're growing a business, right? In the beginning, you have to wear all the hats, and then, at least I experienced being reluctant to let go of some tasks that, I don't want to say were beneath you, but weren't the best use of your time, so that you could focus on actually growing it. And the idea is to be able to delegate those or hire someone else to do it. And if you hire right, I think hiring right pays, it doesn't cost. But yet sometimes it's so challenging for us to let go of those things that are not in alignment with us, to make more space for the things that are.
That's so true. And I think about, you use a different spin on the words, like what is our zone of genius and what is the highest, best use of our time, and hiring people within their zone of genius and giving them work that's in their zone of genius and the highest, best use of their time. And what's cool is we all have diverse backgrounds and experiences to bring to any company. And I'm with you. I think when I first started this agency, Crowe PR, I was really into hiring people who were like me. We think the same, we have similar vibe, right? And then you realize you have a lot of fun, but to really move the business forward, you have to hire for complementary skills and get rid of the things that aren't the best, highest use of your own time and give it give people that type of work. So it's really fascinating when you go through the course of a business. And I think you said maybe just me, I think everybody, majority of people are subject to this.
Yeah, beautiful. You're so big into brand reputation and stuff, and I love the way that you articulate it and support companies. How does a brand, and I just think in general, branding or personal brand is such a big part of all these successful businesses and so forth. Even if you think about people that are very well known, there's like a brand behind them. How can a brand or someone that's listening to this, how can they not only protect their reputation, but maybe what is something they can do to begin to cultivate and build trust?
Yeah, that's exactly the word, trust, right? We want to do business with companies we trust. We want to buy from companies we trust. And there's such a big difference between a product or a service and a brand. And that famous quote, it takes 30 years to build a reputation and 30 seconds to destroy it.
Yep.
Timely comment, perhaps. And that is it. It's how do we help businesses create that trust? And it's through authentic storytelling. It's through identifying that value proposition and so showing how a company solves the problem. It's creating values for that brand and showing that it's it's a human element to the brand versus a product. A product it serves a function, but a brand emotionally connects and resonates, and people buy brands more so for sustainability, right? I mean, a business is sustainable when it's built a brand. We know there's products that have success overnight. You throw some ad dollars on Facebook and you may sell through a lot of things. And then as soon as you stop putting that money behind it, it goes away because you haven't built a brand. And the good news is today it doesn't have to take 30 years. We know a lot of successful brands that are 5 years old or 3 years old or 10 years old because we have so many different cool tools to help build that trust faster nowadays. But it has to be consistent. The message for the brand has to be clear, and you have to have a compelling proposition. Like those 3 C's I always talk about.
Yeah, I love it. And yeah, everything, like the value has to be articulated very cleanly, but also just like the way that you support people and service them. I know for me, like you can deal with a company that has a great product, but if they don't treat you that great or they make you feel like just another number or a client, it's not the same as to someone that really makes you feel a little bit different. I know as organizations really grow, it's hard to do that, but I think it's huge in being able to create that level of trust and energy.
100%. I mean, customer experience and customer service, client service, and if you're in a B2B is everything, right? Because there are so many options out there. I always go back to that old case of Zappos. Remember when they got started? When you look at the website, you're not really thinking this is the best website I've ever seen. And there's a lot of products, but the customer service was what they really became known for, right? We'll solve your problem. When I worked at AT&T before starting my agency, and I remember one of the things we talked a lot about is when you see a customer with a problem, a lot of people want to shy away and be like, I don't want to deal with this. This is a headache. But when we're solving a person's problem, we have 70% more loyalty because you've just did that, right? So it's finding those opportunities, like how do I become customer-centric, client-centric, and really become this really valuable asset to a person or a group of consumers or another brand or another company.
Yeah, so good. You're wearing so many different hats. You have so much going on, so much momentum. What are you personally most pumped about right now?
Oh, like today or the summer or the year?
Just in general right now, what are you excited about?
Yeah. So I think for my agency, I'm really excited about, the word of the season, AI, and just ways that we leverage public relations with AI and are able to help brands really show up and connect and be in search and all those things. So that's really cool. It's just our industry changes all the time. The media landscape changes. We have influencers coming in hot and heavy, and they're not going anywhere. We've got social media, but the fact that we have all these other cool tools that help PR actually be elevated now and showcase the importance of it and that trust, right? That authenticity. So that's really cool for my industry. I'm very excited about that. Everybody needs it, and the need is growing. So that's cool. I think for me personally, I am working on a second book right now, as I mentioned, that talks about that shift. So that's a very cool process to go through. As you know, you're the Wall Street Journal bestselling author. Congratulations, by the way, right?
Thank you. Yes.
Amazing. So that, and then having the ability to connect and engage with people. I love energy. I love human connections. I think we're still in this weird space post-COVID where sometimes we're online, sometimes we're in person, sometimes we're in an office, sometimes we're hybrid. But I think the more and more opportunities we get to be in the room with humans, hear people talk and get inspired and inspire others, I just get excited about that.
Can't replace that human energetic connection in person.
100%, right? To what we talked about earlier, we can feel someone's energy. It's really hard to do that in a virtual setting. And messages, you can hear messages differently, I think. Doesn't mean we can't operate, and we're successful in this format 100%. But I'm also excited about traveling and seeing people in real life and experiencing that.
Yeah, totally different experience. And it's crazy you mentioned AI, obviously probably the talk of the world of the last couple of years. And I see so many people like almost starting to build like relationships with their AI to almost an unhealthy degree, right? Because you're never really disappointed and whatever the case may be. But there's something to be said about utilizing the unbelievable tool that AI is, but also not forgetting the power of connection and energy and so forth.
100%. And I think that's going to be the situation for a while, and people are going to get it wrong and people are going to get it right. It's so hard. To your point, even things like Chat or Claude or whoever, the basic AI that we now see, because there's 3,000 different tools out there, can be so validating, right? You know, you put something in there like, hey, can you give me some ideas? And they'll say, you're amazing today. This is such a great idea. You know, like, oh, thank you so much. So I think that for a lot of people that could feel really, really good. And like, let me talk to this machine more and let me do more. But it is such a delicate balance. You do have to find that right balance of authenticity and leveraging it as a tool, as a technology for efficiency, saving time, all the things, but not replacement for relationships that you talk about, or or communications in general, or full on assets. There's so much talent with humans that we don't want to lose as well.
Yeah. I think there's a way where we can get closer to operating at a level that AI does. Maybe this is a little bit polarizing, and one of the ways to do that is to connect more and to elevate your consciousness. I think so many people, I used to be there, kind of just plugged into the matrix and a little bit of the Walking Dead going on. But one of the benefits of elevating your consciousness, you have a whole new level of awareness. And so I was just curious off the cuff, is spirituality, is that something that's important to you?
100%. Yeah, I think our overall success is mind, body, spirit, right? When we get all three in the healthy place, that's healthy. If we're just working on our bodies, but ignoring our mind and spirit, we're only a third complete. If we're just focusing on our mind, but ignoring, I think spirituality is huge for me. We could certainly have probably a 3-hour conversation about that. And part of it is just, what you talk about, the subject of this talk. I mean, we said it as brand magic, but the magic, the magic of spirituality. And what you hit on just there was really interesting, because, if I can do my job in 10 minutes, that would take me an hour with AI, because I've become more efficient, and I have 50 minutes to connect with myself, and I have 50 minutes to do some thinking and strategy and all these other things. Then, to your point, it does increase that level of consciousness, which is how we use that in the right way. But yeah, I mean, it's I joke around that I used to go from I used to be like a level 4 woo woo, and then over the last couple of years I'm like a level 9.5 because I've seen, right? Okay, cool. I mean, you've seen it when you see the evidence, however you want to.
When you experience the magic.
Yes, you experience
there's
the magic.
There's no going back. And I think that I encourage everybody, depending upon what it is that you connect to something. Because once you begin to really be available for that, you start to experience, as you said, magic or quantum leaps. And that's really the good stuff. And I just think for anyone that's even intimidated by this, let's just break it down. It just means spiritual, that you believe there's something else going on here beyond just this logic. And if you could subscribe
Right.
to that, then you're open to the magic, to the miraculous, to quantum leaps and so forth. And I would just encourage everybody to just lean in.
Yeah, 100%. I think you're right. I think it's being open, and it's going to be a varying degree for people. But as long as you don't close that door and you're just open to, and it's just like being open to possibilities, being open to creativity. It's no different. It just, yeah, remain keeping yourself in that place, and finding that time to ground and connect with yourself as well, I think is really important. I think that's most successful entrepreneurs will say, and business leaders, that they don't just stay busy. They find the time to connect and engage with their mind, body, spirit.
Totally. One of the things that you're the queen of is storytelling, but more specifically, authentic human-centered storytelling. I love the way that sounds. What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, stories at the end of the day, going back thousands of years ago, are what really connected people, right? Think about all the stories that have been around for many, many, many years, whether it's fables or tales or whatnot. So storytelling is as long as we've been around, and probably before. And I think that is such a great way to connect. And we all have a story. Sometimes you may think, well, my story's not worth telling. Well, I really didn't do a whole lot in my life. And those are just all voices that are preventing that. But everybody has a story. And the story is everyone's genuine, unique path. And so for me, it's on a human level, it's just connecting based on our own stories. But then for brands, again, creating that human connection based on what is the story that you're selling? What is the authentic thing behind the brand? Like we talk about founder stories a lot. A lot of big brands that are Fortune 100 even have a founder story. How did this come to life? How did this get started? Those are much more interesting than saying that our widget is red, white, blue, and we have this capability. How do I turn that into a story to connect on a human level and engage with my audiences? And that spans across every industry and every company. It's just the trick is finding it, really finding it, making sure and telling it in the right way, and being able to tell it in a very digital forward, mobile friendly, noisy world.
I love it. A word that comes to mind that you use is to be able to take that and make it compelling.
Mm-hmm.
How do you speak to people? It's not their ears, but their soul with it.
Yes, and you have to dig a little deeper, but you'll find it with pretty much with every great company, right? And that, yeah, goes back to the 3 C's. How do you make it clear? Because there's a lot of noise coming at consumers and customers. How do we make it compelling, interesting, relevant, and then consistent? Because also a lot of brands make the mistake of saying, well, we told our story for 6 months and now we're too busy. We don't have enough money. We have to focus on something else. Well, when they stop doing that, someone else steps into that spot. So you have to be consistent, and you have to remind people, that old age, like used to take us 7 touch points to know, to hear something for the first time. It's now 20 to 30.
Is that right? Yeah. Consistency is so underrated in really just everything.
Agreed.
So many people are just not willing to go the extra mile and stay consistent. It's actually mind-boggling to me because that's a superpower that is accessible to everybody.
But it's hard, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I'm just trying to think
If you're
like
not, it's
if
work.
you're
It takes work, is what I'm saying. It's not,
yeah,
you don't just wake up and you're like, I'll just be consistent today for the rest of my life.
yeah. But if you're committed, and obviously it helps when you're aligned or connected to what you're doing, right? So let's just say training for a marathon. Maybe you don't love all the runs in between and eating great, but if you're committed or connected to that big goal, then you kind of begin to fall in love with the process. And
Mhm.
if you're not connected to it, then it's very easy to get dejected during the day to day.
Yeah, so true. And that goes back to what's your why? Why are you doing it? How important is that, right? And we all have to have our different whys. We all do, but also understanding what is your why, what's driving you, what is the reason you're going to stay committed and connected to that. So and it's different for everybody. But yeah, I agree with you. I think consistency is so underrated. You're spot on there, and that's across everything, across business, across marketing, across our lives.
Yeah. You said your why there. I think of it like injecting consciousness into it. So like
Yeah.
two people could do the same thing, and have a totally different outcome depending upon the intentionality and the consciousness or the why that's connected to the actual activity. And I would encourage everybody to begin to be more intentional about that. And especially a lot of the brands that you help and so forth, it's so obvious when there's a connection to a brand as opposed to just another brand. And I speak mostly from like personal brands. There's a lot of like influencers and entrepreneurs, but I imagine it's in bigger brands too. But it's just so obvious to me, at least when somebody's really doing something for the right reasons, it's just a different energy.
100%. And people can feel that, companies can feel that, right? It's so yeah, you're spot on. I think that's exactly what you need to do. And understanding that, I mean, it's like the Simon Sinek golden circle exercise, right? Everything starts with why. Now, some people may argue, well, what do I do and how do I do it? But I do believe, and for brands, we talk about this all the time. What's your why? How do you deliver on your why? And what is it, by the way, you do? Because the why is what will connect.
Yeah. And even if you have something in the calendar, let's just say that you're not super pumped about, and maybe it's creating a little bit of disconnect or procrastination. If you just take a moment and reconnect to it and remember why it was important in the first place, or maybe discover why it's important, you can have a totally different energy to the same thing.
So true. And, that also makes me think of creating a toolbox for yourself. For some people, it's like I have to go outside for 10 minutes and that'll help me shift my perspective because I'm so busy. I'm on back-to-back calls. For some people, it's very process oriented. Like for me, I have to have a buffer between each call that I have because I want to regroup and be energetically present for the next thing. And if I'm just running late from one meeting to the next, I've done it many times. I've learned that I'm not fully connected or fully present or whatnot. For some people, it's a meditation. For some people, it's painting. So also understanding what's in your toolbox and what are the things you can pull to shift that mindset quickly to get back on track and maybe find your why or think about what you're doing, etc.
Yeah. I relate so much to what you just said, especially like when you're really busy and you're building something and there's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts, just running from one thing to the other. It's a different energy than just taking a moment to get centered or grounded in between the meetings. And I agree with you. Like even just a little bit of a moment in between can make all the difference. If not, if I'm literally just hanging this up to go to something else, I'm not as present because I'm still connected a little bit to the previous thing.
Right. And that's human. I mean, that's natural. So we have to be intentional of creating that disconnect where necessary.
Yeah, I love it. Before we land the plane, I wanted to ask you, I was checking out your content, which I highly suggest everybody do. And I think you said something along the lines of you can't give birth to an adult. Did I see that right?
Yes, it wasn't my phrase. It was actually Brian Smith, the founder of UGG Australia, who said it when I interviewed him. And we can't give birth to an adult. So it has to be, we have to have the baby and the child, and we have to nurture it and feed it and go through the hard times with it and then it becomes an adult.
So good. So good. There's always a process. Not what everyone loves to hear, but there's a process.
Yes, exactly.
For someone that wants to go deeper with you right away, and I know they would, I know that we could probably do a full episode on just this, but how can someone begin to create their own brand magic?
Well, if they don't want to call me, which they can, I think it's important to have some time to sit down with your company and your leadership team and whoever, and sort of take stock of where you're at and where you want to be going and what your value proposition is and what are the tools that you're connecting and engaging with your customers. I think now is a good time to do that. I mean, the world, there's a lot going on in the world. We have a lot of things coming at us, but we have to regularly assess the brand, the company, and the tools. What worked 2 years ago may no longer work today. And I think understanding your customers and their insights is also so paramount, and getting feedback and hearing and listening. So there's a lot of things that have to be done. But at the end of the day, it's just starting with creating space to assess your brand, your customers, your industry, your market, and finding the right partners and or internal people to help refine, elevate, and prepare for the future, as well as just the next 3 to 5 months.
Well said. I know our community is going to want more, what's the best way for everyone to stay involved in your movie, to keep up, and maybe go a little bit deeper with you in some capacity?
Yeah, I mean, happy to connect through LinkedIn or Instagram at @CrowePR. Also, our company website is crowepr.com. That's Crowe with an E. And there's contact info on there. Always ready to chat, brainstorm, ideate, think boldly, and create some magic.
Well said. Maybe just 30 seconds of rapid fire, 1 or 2 word answers. Are you ready for me?
Oh my, okay. Let's do it.
Okay. Your favorite movie?
Favorite movie, starting there.
The tough one, I know.
All right, I'm going to go with Shawshank Redemption.
Classic. Great choice.
It's my airplane movie. Every time I'm on a plane, and I'll have to watch it again. Well, it's actually tossed up between that and Bohemian Rhapsody. Those are my 2 plane movies.
Wow, now you're really speaking my language. I was so inspired by that movie. Well, first
Same.
of all, Shawshank is iconic. But for some reason, Bohemian, I wasn't so familiar with Queen when I saw it. And then I just went down the rabbit hole with their music, Freddie Mercury. I was just blown away. That movie played such a big impact on me. Not many people say that.
No, I think it, and it has critics as well. And I'm a big fan of the band. And but the thing is, what I love about it is it's a beautiful, well done movie, and it packs such a powerful authenticity punch. The struggle with authenticity so well displayed on the screen. I thought so. Yeah, that's another one for my plane back and forth watching it.
Great one. I had a couple more. Your favorite workout?
Stand-up paddleboarding.
Nice. Okay. Favorite guilty pleasure?
Red wine. Red wine and shopping at the same time.
Oh, nice. Okay. And last but not least, your favorite morning ritual essential?
Oof. Stretching. I get out of bed and I'm always have to do 10 to 15 minutes of stretching and journaling.
Beautiful. As if I couldn't be more aligned with you. This was amazing. I'm going to hang up for 1 second. I'm going to connect you after. Thank you so much for stopping by today and dropping these priceless, juicy nuggets.
Thank you so much for having me, Craig. Great convo.